Hello everyone, Sheik here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing the Lemon Tree Purple Potato, an interesting third-party take on the G1 Shockwave, although instead of turning into a space cannon mode, he turns into the Revenge, the Decepticon warship gifted to Galvatron by Unicron in the 1986 movie. I think this is a really cool take. I think I managed to get him on sale. Maybe I didn't. I can't remember. Anyway, he was really cool. And I was like, you know what? I should finally get him. So I did. So, Purple Potato is pretty cool. Very G1 Shockwave-esque for the most part. A little more rounded in some of the areas, such as the legs and shoulders and forearms, especially for this side right here. And then obviously has big old engines for the spaceship mode and big old antennas and a couple of other things. He is relatively simple, but also a little bit finicky, especially with the legs, getting that part into spaceship mode. He does come with two hands, fully articulated, which I think is pretty cool, although also kind of frightening. Well, maybe not fully, mostly articulated. Like, okay, focus on the fingers. Here and at the base, there's only two connections, which honestly is perfectly fine by me because his other hand, one of the fingers, it's like ever so slightly misshapen, so it pops off and does not sound. Good thing it was on this. Good thing it was on that hand because I'm probably not ever really gonna have that hand on. Focus. Probably not ever gonna have that hand on him because, you know, Shockwave is well, only has one hand. His laser cannon unfortunately cannot be stored in vehicle mode. It is too big to flip inside where his hand would go, and I guess considering the size, it would have to be to fit in there, be really small, and it would just look probably pretty goofy on him. I really do wish they had a way to hide it in the vehicle mode a little bit better, but unfortunately, no, you can't, so you just have to remove it. Same with the cable hose, which makes sense. It does attach to the engine right there, and he does have a battery operated light in his eyes and each engine. It is this type of battery if you want to do it. I was fortunate enough to have batteries. Sometimes even when I go through the batteries, I go through every single one and I still don't have it, and then I have to order another set of batteries just for one figure, and it's really annoying because it's like the LR44 is one of the most common ones, but then there's some that just have some weird random ones. But he has a nice glowing yellow eye, and then some glowing purple lights. Well, it's white LED going through purple plastic, but you do have light up engines like that, which I think is pretty cool. Magnet activated like some of the others that I have, but I really do like. If I had to choose just one of the lights, I'd say that his head light, his Cyclops eye, is probably the best one because it just looks so cool. Makes him look more alive. As if not, I would say they would need to have light piping for it to look any good. And for comparison, here we have the Masterpiece Shockwave or Laser Wave. Although technically speaking, mine is not official. It is a knockoff I got years ago. But this guy is a little bit bigger than the official Masterpiece, well, or official Masterpiece mold, I guess. But he is a little bit taller. He has a decent amount of articulation on the head. He can look up and down. Does have wibbly wobbly. Can do a full 360. And then if you want to replace the batteries, you just flip open the top of his head and just close that up. I will admit there is this design built-in look of the seam right there, which is not present on this Shockwave, so it Doesn't look as clean, if you ask me, and it does bug me. It feels like it should be pressed all the way together, but it is. But it just looks a little odd to me. The arms can go out that far. He pretty theoretically could do a full 360 on a ratchet joint. I mean, he can. It's just that the hose and backpack can sort of prevent that. He does have a little bit of butterfly motion right here, but that is also just more of a transformation thing, but he does have that. He does have bicep rotation over 9-degree bend at the elbow, although it is a little bit loose. He does have wrist rotation. The thumb is hinged, only has one point of articulation on the thumb, and it's on a ball joint, and then all the fingers are individual ball joints with the single joint articulation right there, so you can get a decent amount of articulation there. But for transformation purposes, you just keep his hand perfectly straight, so pretty much like the salute position that he's well known for doing in the original cartoon. He does have an ab crunch, not a huge one, and unless you want to risk popping some other things loose potentially, but he does have an ab crunch. Waist rotation, legs can go forward that far, back that far. Does have a thigh rotation, knee rotation, although that is more for transformation, and it is really stiff. And then you do get about 9-degree bend at the knee. And then you do get ankle tiltage at a higher pivot, which is more for transformation. And then an actual ankle tiltage, which is a little tricky to do because it wants to also pivot up there. But he does have at least a few clicks in either direction for the ankles. And that's pretty much it for the articulation. There are a couple of things that you can do with these if you so desire. I mean, it's not official, but then again, Shockwave was never officially the Revenge, so you can do it however you wish. Now, of course, this would probably work a little bit better if you're, what's the term I'm looking for? Having him have two hands instead of just the one because of the hose cable. But if you don't want the antennas sticking up so high for the engines, just have them angled down like that, although then he doesn't have a de facto jetpack either. And then another thing you can do that I think that looks actually kind of cool if you want is you can rotate them up like so to make them more like shoulder mounted guns, which I think is also pretty cool if you want to do that as well. And it also gets them out of the way if you want to, I don't know, maybe do storage. Honestly, other than the original packaging, I really don't know what it would be the best way to package him for travel. I would say probably robot mode with the engines positioned in such a way, and also removing these points right there, mainly because you just don't want them to get snapped off. Yeah, that's pretty much about it for what you can do with him in his robot mode, but I do like the look. It's one of the craziest things that a third-party company could do, but I mean, to be fair, most Transformers collectors and fans, even if they do like the design of the Revenge and like the Nemesis and the Autobot Arc, most Transformers collectors don't really have that much interest in just getting a spaceship unless it's a large one or a large part of the Arc exterior for like a playset, diorama type setup. They really just don't care for just buying non-transforming spaceships. I mean, it would be really cool to get like a die-cast model of the Revenge, the Nemesis, the Autobot Arc, something that's not too big, but also is relatively detailed, and you don't have to worry about making a transformer. I know they did, titanium series things for non-transforming stuff, but that's also not really highly detailed. But I wouldn't mind something like that in the future. But most of those things, especially if it's done by third party, is going to be really expensive. And it's like, why am I going to pay that much for something I can't even really display with my figures in scale? So I think this is a perfect way of getting the Nemesis or the Revenge made into a Transformer, but also a character that kind of made sense color scheme wise to be the Revenge rather than making a brand new character, because then it might not sell as well. I've been rambling on a little bit, but he does come with 2 blast effect parts, which are done in 2 separate pieces. Unfortunately, he is not compatible with the mainline Hasbro ones, but he does have his own, so it is what it is, and it does look kind of cool. You can also plug those in on the engines, which I think is better for his vehicle mode anyway. And he does come with an extra handgun, gun hand, but I would say just keep it as a spare, get rid of it if you don't care for it, because it does show on the instructions that you can have him have double gun hands, but then it's no longer as much Shockwave as it is just, I guess, a drone or a exclusively fighting machine. Alright, so I didn't expect it to be that difficult to get transformed while on camera, but I guess with all the Findlay parts all out and about, definitely made it a bit more of an ordeal. But it is quite the impressive spaceship mode. I really do love it. I mean, there are some details that are different from the original Revenge, like it doesn't have Shockwave shoulder hump things, but for the most part, it is pretty faithful to the Revenge from the 1986 movie. I just love it. I think the sand could be a little bit better, and I wish that this clear plastic piece had been done in the same purple plastic, because the original Revenge, it's not clear like that, so I don't know why they did it like that. Maybe it's because in some of them you don't even really see it. I'm really not sure what their reasoning behind that was, but it just overall looks really cool, and I just love the way all this folds up nice and neatly in the back, and you can see the main engine. Obviously the focus is more on the side engines as far as the lights and all that, because I mean you can't really exactly put a light in there easily with thinking of a transformation. And like I said, these can plug in right there, but I would say advise with anything that you're plugging into these, be very careful not to shove it in too far, because it is kind of loose, and also this is where the battery compartment is, so I had to use pliers to get this piece out one time when transforming, because I guess I got in there a little too far and it was just stuck in there. And another thing about the stand that I don't necessarily like is that you have to do it in the transformation. Like, you can't just put it on the stand after transforming, you have to put it on there. And I did shave it down a little bit on the stand so that it's hopefully easier to get off this time around. Last couple times it's been very difficult just because the clearance is that tight. Unfortunately, you can't really do anything with the stand in robot mode, like the Masterpiece Shockwave, which has a little backpack thing that turns into a stand for his gun mode, or laser cannon, Vulcan cannon, whatever you want to call it. But let's go ahead and bring him in for comparison. Obviously, this Shockwave is supposed to be something that's much more massive, sort of like more like a Titan scale type of thing. And then this is just, you know, normal size Transformer Shockwave, but they're both really cool in their own respect. I'm pretty sure I did a review on him. Maybe I haven't. If I haven't, I should definitely rectify that at some point. But he is definitely one of my personal favorites. Yeah, I have not really anything bad to say with this other than the slight parts forming for this. And I did see it stored something like this on another YouTuber's channel, and he just wrapped it around and plugged it into the stand like that, so that maybe you won't lose it or something like that. And then also this magnet can be stored on the back of the stand like so. There we are. Although you might want to put it on before you put it on the ship, which is kind of counterintuitive if you want to use this thing to you know, oh dear, it is not wanting to go on right now. There we are, got it on. But you can store it there. The only thing that you really can't store if you have the blast effects on, assuming you have everything on that you can have on at once, the only thing that you can't really store is the extra laser gun hand, because you could always, when you transform, if you don't want to just have this in another bag or whatever, you could always put it back on when you take this off. So the only thing that wouldn't be able to go anywhere is this thing, but that's not too bad, honestly, even though he is slightly bit of a parts former. But I am willing to forgive it, mainly because this alt mode is just so good. And also the interesting thing about this case, most parts formers, in my experience, usually if you lose the parts or the accessories, the vehicle mode will not work at all. Whereas in this case, if you lose that, at least the vehicle mode will still look great, but the robot mode won't look like the traditional Shockwave. One last thing that I thought I should point out that was included in here, they did have two little screw hole fillers. A huge pain to get installed, by the way, but right here and right here, just in case, because you were wondering if you ever decide to get this guy. I wasn't sure where to put him at first, and then I happened to see that those two glaring holes right there, and then okay, it was pretty straightforward to put them in place. But there's nothing in the instructions about installing them, so there's that. As cool as his robot mode is, and how interesting a take on the character this is, I mainly love him for his vehicle mode, because I mean, it is so awesome to have a spaceship revenge from the '86 movie, and I currently have him displayed with my Unicron figure in planet mode, which they just look so cool together. If you would like to have a revenge spaceship that also doubles as a transformer, then this is the perfect purchase for you. And if you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. And until next time, have a good one, everyone.